is what always has guided me. And even though we've never lived in the same, country, continent, whatever for so long, but I just took, a chance.
Are you curious about the connection between love, sex, and energy? Well, stick around because today's episode is really, really fun with Caroline Szabo. Caroline was born and raised in romantic Paris, France. She has lived in New York City, London, Dubai, and Mumbai, India, and is now living in Los Angeles. She is a master certified coach, life coach, and spiritual coach, and specializes in transformational coaching, finding love, twin flame love, sexuality, relationships, attraction, and spirituality. She has a unique approach to coaching that allows her to transform lives every single day, helping her clients master the power of energies and imagination to make their dreams a reality. She is passionate about love and spirituality and is the co-founder of the LifeCoach Academy and the author and host of Love, Sex, and Energy podcast. Caroline, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Catherine. Thank you so much. I'm delighted to be here.
Oh, I'm delighted you're here too. When we first connected, I really just loved your energy and I appreciated that you kept reaching back out to me. I was so busy. So I'm excited for this. Before we dive in, maybe you could tell our viewers who are not familiar with you a little bit about your background because it's extensive and you've traveled a lot. So
yes, thank you. So I was born and raised in Paris, and then after high school, I decided to study in America. So I moved to the US on the East Coast, and I studied near Charlotte, North Carolina, until I finished my bachelor in marketing with psychology minor.
Mm-hmm.
And then relocated to New York, had a great career with the Estee Lauder companies, and then they relocated me to London to head up a big, online business for them. And right before I moved to London, I met my soulmate.
Ooh.
And we literally just met before I moved to London. And I thought, okay, well, they made me this great offer at 9 a.m. on a Friday. They said, we need your answer by noon. So I said,
Wow.
yes. And if this guy's meant to be, this guy will be. And so I moved to London and we lived long distance for over 3 years. And
wow.
then he was sent to Dubai for his own career.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to take a leap, and intuition is what always has guided me. And even though we'd never lived in the same, country, continent, whatever for so long, but I just took, a chance. If you don't try, you're not going to know. And so I moved to Dubai, and that was a very, very exciting time for me.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we got married. We have 2 kids. From there, life in India started, which kind of reconnected me to spirituality, although I feel like that was always sort of my true North Star. I was always kind of like a very, like a kid that I liked spending time alone. I liked looking at the sky. I liked writing in my journal, like even, as a little girl. So I feel like that has always accompanied me, and that no matter what friendships I've had, my friends always knew they could trust me. That I was sort of the vault. And so I feel like all of that has kind of led me to this perfect career of like receiving so many secrets, so many stories, and learning and knowing what to do with them to help others, live happier, live better, live a more alive life.
I love that, a more alive life, because I feel like that's kind of what I was working on for 10 years. And I feel like, clients that come to me as well, and I'm sure people feel almost dead inside, or they're on autopilot and robotic. And your whole life that you describe feels so alive, like following your intuition, meeting your soulmate, traveling, and just really fortunate, but really like fun and
Thank you.
alive.
Yeah, I think, as you said, I think you're so right. It's everyone lives on autopilot. It's every day. Pick up the kids, go to work, da da da, make dinner. Like, I don't know. It's just like, and everything, if we want to live an alive life, we have to nourish the soul. And I
Mhm.
feel like that's where everything begins. And how do you nourish your soul is first by connecting to gratitude, connecting to, looking at the sky. We're in this amazing super full moon energy, and it's,
Mm.
noticing the hummingbird, noticing, and it begins there, right?
Yeah, I love that. I had a friend that used to call it the gift of noticing. And it's what you pointed out. It's noticing all these little things and these things that are alive and in nature. And I love that. You've also touched on the full moon, and I want to jump in there. It's not my wheelhouse, but I love that. And we are in the full moon of Aries. Is that correct?
Right.
What does that
Yeah.
mean to you, and why is that important?
So, first of all, it is the last supermoon of the year of 2023. We had four this year, and this is the last one. Why is it called a supermoon? It's because it's closer to Earth, so we see it as like really, truly
Mhm.
giant, and it's super bright, and it is in Aries. Aries is ruled by Mars. So there's a lot of, fiery and fire ring energy. It's a lot of karmic energies. It's very intense. It's passion. It's calling upon us to take initiatives, to take a leap, to take
Mhm.
a chance, to really, really connect to intuition, to drop out of the, primitive brain that's constantly in, fear of what people will say, what is what, and just kind of dropping to the heart.
Mm.
So I love this energy, even if it can feel a little uneasy at times. It also feels really easy when you're able to, not let the mind control your decisions and drop into the heart.
Mhm.
I believe, and I speak several languages, from French to Italian to some Hebrew to Spanish,
Mhm.
some German, and all of that. But I believe that the true language is the language of the heart. The heart speaks the soul. And no matter what, like when we were born, when we're babies, and we hadn't yet, formed our full mother tongue language, we already could speak the language of the heart. We could already feel energies
Mhm.
and express ourselves through that. So I think, when, I mean, the moon is the ruler of all, and the divine feminine. So when we can really connect to all these, energies that the moon gives us,
Mhm.
we are gifted to go deeper with our intuition, to trust ourselves more and more and more.
I love that. Now I know why we connected right away. Like you speak my language, and I spoke on Clubhouse for a couple of years, and my tagline would be like, I help people get out of their head and into their heart, like into their body. And it's because it's what I had to do, though. It's not like a judgment. I was so in my head, and where I live in the Northeast, it's so cerebral. And so I really appreciate what you're sharing with people about how important that is, and that it is ruled. I don't know astrology to the depths that you do, but my understanding is the moon rules the emotions, right? And
Correct. Yes.
you're taught that's what you're talking about. And I love that you said too that our original language is the heart, or is the soul, and it's how the soul speaks. So I really appreciate you shining light on that. When you work with your clients, I'm curious then, do you weave astrology into it at all? You do.
I
Can you tell
do.
us more about that a little
I
bit?
do. I do it in I think, a different way than a lot of the astrologers out there, because I have studied from a perspective of mixing the East and the West.
Hmm.
So depending on, your year, then it connects you to your Chinese sign, and then your date of birth, your month and day, then that's your
Mhm.
Western sign. So you have basically 144 combos, because it's 12 Chinese signs and 12 Western signs, right? So 12 times 12 is 144. And I've studied this for, I don't know, for 30 years. And so
Mhm.
I have so many characters in my mind of clients, of friends, of colleagues, of whatever, of boyfriends. And so you can tell me any date, and I know exactly the type of personality, the type of
Mhm.
character in general sense.
Right.
Then of course there is someone's bringing, someone's experiences, all of that. But it's so amazing how accurate it is with just the energy of the planets under which we are born. And when they say, what happens above reflects below, it
Mhm.
really is. We're just on this ball of, on Earth, and receiving all the energies of everything around us in the cosmos. So I always like to know the date of birth of my clients. I always like when they are, they either went through a separation, or they're on a new date, or they are looking for love, or I like to help them know the energy they're in. Because also, if we are, an earth sign, you combine generally better with a fire sign. If you are an air sign, you combine generally better with a water sign. Water, there can be no air without water, and so that's kind of the softer combination. So I like to, yes, to answer your great question, I like to, bring that in and teach them about, from my perspective, from the way I've kind of
Mhm.
intuitively learned it.
I
Learn that.
love that because from what my understanding of astrology, there are many patterns, like
Mhm.
based on the locations,
True.
and it can help you, what I'm gathering, help a person understand themselves a little bit. And as they do this life coach process or this spiritual journey, it sounds like it's a fascinating tool. How else do you distinguish your coaching from, say, another coach that's out there? Because there are a bazillion of us now, it feels like.
True. Probably yet not enough, because
Oh, wow.
I think the world is still in a very kind of a, tough place, and
Mhm.
everyone really should have a life coach, no matter who is their best person. Everyone should. It's like almost, we all must work on mental health before we even address the physical. And even though the physical is so essential, and nourishing your body with the right food and working out and all of that, but if you do all of that and yet you don't work on the brain, then you're completely missing out on the true and full experience of life. This is what, if we learn how to nourish the soul, that's when we can really live longer. Even if you
Mm.
eat crap. I mean, that's not ideal, but
Mhm.
really it starts there. So I think in my coaching, I really kind of like to give like a full experience.
Mhm.
First of all, I'm very alive. I'm very connected to my sexuality. I have a podcast episode on female masturbation, and I do think that helping men, but helping women reconnecting to themselves, you know,
Mm.
loving themselves more and better. And maybe you don't love everything. We never love everything about all of ourselves, but
Right.
to just say, oh, I love you, and or I love my teeth, or like something of focus that you can, because what we focus on grows. So if we focus on, the weight isn't coming off and this isn't working, and more of that negative is coming,
Mhm.
because no matter what we ask for, the universe always says yes. It says yes to everything. There's never a no. It says yes to everything. So it's like, oh, I don't like my thighs. Yes, you're right.
Mhm.
So more of that is coming, So I love to, help somebody transform from within,
Mhm.
to, you know, to everything, but really you have to glow from within. I feel that, you know, and maybe here living in LA, it's a lot about, you know, the Botox, the this, the that, everybody, you know, the same B cup, the whatever, D cup, whatever the heck. Like, it's a lot of the same.
Yeah.
We are forgetting to work on what's in
Inside.
here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's where I've come to as well over the years, that is the most important part for me, maybe not for someone else, but for me, and everything else ripples like that. I feel like I have more energy. I look younger. I feel younger. I move better than a decade ago, or even 15 years ago. You know, I'm like into my 50s and I feel great, but it's because of that churning within, you know. And I'm a huge fan of Paul Selig and the guides. He channels the guides. And I was listening, I think it was this morning or last night, and they were saying when you raise your vibration to that higher octave, you do live longer, you live healthier, you look and feel better without going to get the Botox or focusing solely on the outer physical. So it's just reaffirming that you just shared that. Let's dive in a little bit more to the sexuality piece, because I'm sure that the intro piqued people's interest. And I love that that's the name of your podcast, right? You said love, sex, and energy. How are they all intermingled and like come together for you? I know you touched on it already a little, but.
So love is what we are. We are all born as love energy, and everything then that we learn from our mentors, from our teachers, from our parents, from whatever, starts like clouding the brain. And so we move out of love. We start having doubts and resentment and anger and jealousy and whatever, all the negatives, right? And so just to remind our audience that on the scale of emotions, the highest vibration is love energy. So anything that's like love energy, not like I'm in love, but or in love with life, in love with the self, not necessarily love in a relationship, but love energy like passion and joy and excitement. That's the highest vibration. That's the healthiest vibrations. That's what keeps the soul like crazy alive, that, as you say, you can feel younger and you look amazing. And so it's working. So we have that. And then on the very opposite of love to love is fear. It's not hate, it's fear. Everything roots from fear. Hate roots from fear. Jealousy roots from fear. Scarcity roots from fear. Everything roots from fear. Sorry, you wanted to
No, it's okay. I totally agree with you. And we are programmed with fear, right? And
yes. And that's the primitive brain. Like our brain, people think the brain wants us to be happy. No, the brain couldn't care less whether we drink all day and do drugs and do whatever. It couldn't care less. The mission of the brain is to run on autopilot to save energy. It wants to save energy for if and when a bear's running at us, we are in danger for whatever reason. So, let's save some energy. But most of us are luckily not in danger daily. And so we have to, we have to choose happiness. We have to choose love energy that we were born with, but kind of forgot about. And so that's one piece that I love to help people reconnect to. And then energy, I'll get to the sex after. So energy.
One thing at a time.
Yeah, energy is all that we are. We are, whether it's this pen, everything is made of energy, of atoms. Atoms are particles. That's all we are. And we feel each other. Even you and I behind a screen, we feel each other's energies. Our energies are traveling. It doesn't matter where we are. You can telepathy, and we'll talk maybe in another episode about twin flame. We can telepathy to someone who's miles away, countries away from us, because energy knows no distance, no frontiers. This is all man-made stuff, and time is linear. So love energy, love is an energy. Our feelings are energy. And then the sex is contagious in like an energy speaking way. And so it's so important to learn to guard ourselves, to learn to really, give ourselves where we, as close as possible to where we belong.
Mhm.
A woman in a traditional heterosexual connection, the man enters the woman. So the woman receives, the man gives.
Mhm.
Not nothing. It's like a dance to me. It's like,
Yeah.
it's that is how you reach your most powerful orgasms. And that's in that moment that you connect the highest to the divine energy, because you're completely free. You're completely letting go. You're in the moment with the
Mhm.
other heart. And so that's why, kind of sex is in the middle of my title, between love and energy, because it's kind of like, it's complete. It's like it's the link between
Right.
all of it.
Well, it is the energy of creation, right? You have the
And
divine
yes,
masculine energy and the divine feminine energy. And when they come together, something is created. And that,
yes,
whether it's heterosexual or other types of relationships, those energies are present, right?
always, yeah, correct.
Yeah. And to me, it's all, most of it, not all of it, second chakra energy, which is our sexuality, but it's also our creativity and it's, our expansion and what we're putting into the world. So I think it's such a
Yeah.
fun energy, but in our culture too, it's also a very distorted energy for many people. And when you talked about like a female masturbating or getting in touch with herself, why is that so important? And I know this is a conversation not a lot of women are comfortable speaking with on air, but I appreciate that you are. So why is it so important for a woman to like know her body and know her own energy by yourself?
Because first of all, until we know ourselves, what we like, and until we appreciate ourselves, how can we expect someone else to
Mm,
appreciate us?
yeah.
And we're, so much craving for the love, for the touch, for, to come from someone else. But most people can't even like give it to themselves. How can they give it to us if we don't give it to us, to ourselves?
Hmm.
So who we are, what we are, we attract. So we have to first become in love with ourselves. We have to
Mm,
become in touch with what we like and what we don't like as much, and to communicate with us, to acknowledge, okay, like, this is may not be so perfect or whatever, but I'm still choosing to love and appreciate myself.
mhm.
So I think this connection with the self is very important. And I don't know, maybe I'm French, I'm Parisian, like maybe there's less taboo, and to talk about it, to doing it, to honor your femininity. um but it's okay, like even if it's something that isn't as, doesn't come as easy for you, it's, reach out either, to someone in our line of work, to the
Mhm.
both of you, or, there's so much resource online as well. And slowly, like, maybe just, rubbing your hands and closing your eyes and being alone with yourself, playing a music that makes you feel relaxed, and
Right.
starting slowly.
So I'm hearing you say it's not even just it's so much sexuality. It sounds like it's more sensuality, like this, the touching, the feeling, the being present, right? More,
Yes, we
yeah.
are given five senses.
Hmm.
And I mean, you know, the touch, the hearing, the looking, the tasting, the
Hmm.
smelling, all of that plays a huge role when we are in partnership with someone. But why not starting to experience it with ourselves?
Right.
And nowadays, I don't know, even, treating yourself to a nice body oil, um,
Hmm.
nice scents, essential oils, lavender, things that bring aliveness. And music, I connect to music
Me too.
so much, right?
Hmm.
And it's like from the moment I wake up in the morning, I plug in music. My house is still silent. I'm going to make breakfast for everyone, and so I already have music, and I'm
Hmm.
like, in the groove,
I
and
love that.
it like helps to get out of the mundane and the
Hmm.
know? And I always say to my clients, romanticize your life. Romanticize your life,
Mhm.
even whatever, like a boring meeting or your cup of tea you drink the same of every day, you don't even pay attention.
Mhm.
Make it more like, ooh, this tea from China that's traveled through the Silk Road. I don't know, whatever.
Make it an occasion, right?
Make it an occasion. Beautifully said. Yes.
That's how I get ready for the show, actually. I gotta tell you,
Good.
good that my kids are at work and not here, but I do all the technical stuff. I've got that all checked off. I got myself together and I get out of my head. I put on music and I dance and I put on essential oils and I'm burning some incense and I'm like
Love
focusing
it.
on my breath and just moving around so that the show flows or that I flow and therefore the show does. And I love and
Yes.
appreciate having guests like you that bring that similar energy. Because when I used to do this stuff or try to from my head, and just try to dot all the I's and the T's, and you need to do those things, it didn't flow as well. It didn't come out as good. So I've really learned to work those things in more. And I think if we
Mhm.
can do that in everyday life, like I'm smiling and so you're just talking about it, like that brings some aliveness and it's contagious, right? Like you said
Yeah.
earlier, I love that word.
And everything around you. I mean, I see your beautiful Buddha, I see your plant, I see your books, I see your beautiful dress, and everything is energy. Your clothes, the incense you burn, the everything is energy around you. So it's so
Mhm.
important to, set the tone.
Yeah, because when we
To
feel good,
to feel the aliveness, to feel feminine. The more we can connect to the divine feminine in us,
mm,
more we can bring the divine masculine to his soul. And I
I love
think
that.
that is the highest purpose of a woman. It could be
Mhm.
debatable by many, but I think it is the highest purpose of a woman is to bring the divine masculine to his soul. He cannot do that on his own. And then there is so much power that so much that he pours the divine feminine with also sweet energies
Mm.
and I don't know, just so connecting to our feminine and to everything that helps us feel more alive and connected to our purpose.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
feels good. I love what you shared, and I have to say I love your background too, the art on the back. I feel like art in has been pushed to the wayside. If we bring a little more art and beauty and this feeling, um, it is a connection to the divine, right?
Yes.
These things or to the quantum field, and it really enhances our or how we show up in the world and that ripple effect. I mean, people feel it around us. They don't know what it is, but they feel it and they want more of it for themselves as well. And I think when we feel good and we ripple that out to our loved ones, to our partners and the people around us, it helps other people feel good. It's that very positive
Amen.
contagion, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I
Yeah.
love that you're doing all that. We've touched on a lot of things, and I want to ask you a couple of questions. We'll move away from sexuality for a minute, but what is your definition of the soul? Because you've brought up the soul, and I know that means different things to different people. So could you put a little framework for us?
Yes. To me, it's like a it's like a it's energy. It's like an energy ball. It's like
Mhm.
when it's the chi. So if we rub our hands and even you put your hand like this and I start doing this, if you're closing your eyes and you really think about it, you will feel my finger moving. You will feel like when really you activate the chi,
Mm.
it doesn't matter that I'm here, you're there
I
across
can
states, we
feel
feel. And so when we do this with our palms and we feel the energy in between our palms, that's the chi. And so to me, that's the soul. But it's here. It's where the heart is. And we know now today how much, how magnetic, how powerfully
it.
magnetic the heart is. And originally our first brain was considered to be in the gut.
Mhm.
And, now with x-rays and whatever, we know the brain is here in the cranial box. But why do we say, intuition and trust your gut? It's because that first brain was there.
Mm-hmm.
And I truly believe that that is closer to, that magnificent chi that
Mm-hmm.
is the soul. And when the body goes, the soul remains. The soul never dies. Energy never dies.
Mm-hmm.
Energy never lies. And it stays on, it moves, it travels. And when somebody gets sick, whether it's a flu or whether it's something more tragic, it's because somewhere the soul has fallen asleep, somewhere the soul is hurt, somewhere the soul is unhappy. And that's what I love to do, is to get to the root of someone's sadness, to help them shift from that so that they can bring again the right energy in the soul, nurture the soul the right way, so that the chi can move instead of having sort of blockages that keep you stuck. So to me, the soul is the chi. It's and when I was in India, I used to do qigong and tai chi, and I am a black belt in taekwondo. And for me,
Oh, wow.
the sounds as well that come from the gut, like those powerful sounds, that's all linked, that's all linked to aliveness.
Yeah.
So to me, the close to understand the soul is like, really, if you rub your hand and you feel that energy in between, that's, in my mind, what is in here. And the more like warm it is, when we even when we're kids and we play this game of I don't know, we had that in France, and you whatever, you hide an object and you got to find it, and the friends say, no, it's cold. So you're in the kitchen. No, it's warm. Well, it kind of feels that way. You want to keep the soul warm, so you want to listen to intuition. But to be able to listen to intuition, this has to be alive, this has to be right. Otherwise, you don't know if it's intuition, it's ego, it's you don't know. You're confused. For it to feel really right, it needs to be alive in there. It needs to be warm.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And that we keep going back to aliveness, but the intuition piece, I know a lot of people, and women in particular in our culture, have trouble trusting it.
Yes.
Even hearing it, but some people hear it, and for years I didn't trust it, even though I heard it. How would you help someone, or a woman, start to trust herself again and take the action that her intuition or her soul is really calling for?
There are different, depending on someone's journey and everything, but in a nutshell, I would say it's also a little practice, going small, going with little things.
Yeah.
Before you get to the big jump, going with little things. So you learn again to have your back. You learn again that, oh, this felt right. And to me, again, going back to warm and cold, when it feels good, when someone feels good, when a project feels good, when this interview feels good, then it's the right thing. You're guided. Never mind what's on paper, what the neighbor might have told you, whatever. You inside, it feels good to you. That's guiding you. When it does not, and maybe ego is fighting it, but rejection's protection. So sometimes we have to quiet ego to be like, okay, well, yeah, the guy didn't call me back, the whatever, but rejection's protection. And is it even rejection? So it's like, there's a lot of these little things coming into play, but really, to keep it simple, when it feels good, go for it. When it does not, listen, try and ask yourself even why, journal about it. But that's kind of a starting point, is what feels good.
And we were trained to not trust what feels good, or don't do what's good, feels good.
Yes.
Do the right thing, do the thing I tell you to do whatever it is, whatever the story is, right? But starting to feel good. I love that, because I know too, I operated from that element of fear, and it took me a long time to unravel and unwind that when we come from that fear-based feeling, that is not our intuition most of the time. I mean, there's a time,
Right.
right? Sometimes when it's that true fear, it's like, get out of here, like to trust that as well. But when we're always operating from fear,
Yeah.
that's not intuition, right?
And and I've dealt with fear and anxiety myself. When we were in India, we had, we were victim of the terrorist attacks that happened in November 2008, and our business partner, they were out at the Oberoi for just a simple dinner, and they were both shot and killed, and their three little kids became orphaned overnight, and like a lot of examples of all of our lives can be pretty traumatic. So I've dealt with, overcoming fear and anxiety. Maybe that's a conversation for a different episode, but, because I do have a lot of tools on how to overcome anxiety, because I have done it for myself and for others. But I think we're, society does not really want us to be at love vibration, at love energy, because you cannot be controlled. You're like
Right.
high. You're like high from just yourself. So the government, the news, the whatever can say anything, and you're like, okay, so yeah, we are in a system where everything is pretty boxed in, and
Yeah.
even religion, and of course religion's important, and having faith is important, but it's also, all these rules that are man-made, that we attribute to God, but they're kind of man-written. So it's important to see what feels right for you without quiet other people's opinion, the family's opinion, the whatever, what is right for you. And it's something, that a lot of people don't honor themselves enough, like don't acknowledge it's the self, we have to be selfish in order to become selfless. We have to put ourselves first.
Why is that so hard for people to do, especially a lot of women, to put themselves first? Because it seems selfish, right? But it's not. You got to put your oxygen mask on first to help your baby in the plane crash. So why is it so hard for women in our culture, but so important?
Yeah, it's so important, because if you deplete the soul, then you're of no help to no one else. And when you don't, you don't nurture yourself, you don't speak to yourself kindly, there's so much negative self-talk, and not a good mom, not worthy enough, bad mom. I mean, I hear that so often. How can we society, like we everything is energy, we're all one. So if I smile, then even if you're having a bad day, you're receiving my smile, and then your day is going to be impacted in a good way. So really, it's important to reconnect to the importance of taking even a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to be on your own, to have a good body cream, a good, like a little something that makes you feel good. And yes, women, mothers particularly, are not great at prioritizing themselves, but it's so essential to then be of greater service.
We have to have an episode on that. We should do a panel that comes up every day, not just in these podcasts, but I mean everyday life, about moms. And I was one of them. I was so depleted because I was trained to believe that I should do everything for my child and put them first. But then when I got so depleted, we had a whole host of other things. And I mean, chaos reigned, right? That was the truth, the reality. But yeah, so we have to have you back, because I want to talk about so many things that you touched on. Twin flames is a big one. Twin flames and soulmates. I know people ask about that all the time. It's definitely not one of my wheelhouse. Maybe I'm still looking for mine. Do we have more than one? All the things. How to manifest. I'd love to break down some of these topics, because you talked about the gut And that is a source of intuition, but we have the three brains, the head, the heart, and the gut. You taught there's so much to talk about. And I think that, or I know that we're in this state or this shift where more and more people are waking up to this and want to know and need someone that they resonate with. Because you said, and I've never heard this before, it's not on my radar, we need more coaches. There are not enough. So that mindset that there's too many coaches, just like there's too many realtors, there's not enough. That's awesome. And you have a coaching school, right?
Yes, the Life Coach Academy is an amazing school. Christine Rizzo and I have started. Christine Rizzo is an author and a certified life coach, and she's based in Florida. And we both felt that even though, and we trained with a very renowned school called the Life Coach School years and years ago. Their program is very pricey, and we felt like there was a need to include more spirituality in a coaching program, and also to make it online, make it easy, and make it way more affordable. So that's what the program is about. And both she and I teach the classes, live weekly, and
cool.
It's beautiful. We have, of course, a lot of people wanting to become life coaches because it's so amazing to have your own career, to be your own boss, to work from anywhere in the world. But we also have people, and we've had people in banking and pharmaceutical industry that come in to learn these tools to be better managers, but also better at home, better in their own personal lives, understanding how to manage the brain so that it plays for you and not against you, because it will play against you if you let it.
And I really appreciate that you said that, because we want to get out of our head into our heart thing, but we don't want to get rid of it altogether, because we want it to work for us, right? Not be its servant, if you will. So I so appreciate that. I've enjoyed this conversation so much, Caroline. Where can people find you and find out more about your school if they're interested or resonate with your beautiful energy?
Thank you. So the website is thelifecoach.academy. So it's pretty simple. And there are my information on there, but I'm happy to maybe in the show notes also include my direct, contact, email, and number.
Awesome. Yes, if you're watching this on YouTube, it will all be down below. So give it a read. If you're watching it on the Win-Win Network, we will have a blurb on there with some more links. But yeah, I've so enjoyed this. Before we wrap up, I often ask my guests, and I may ask you this a zillion times if you're on the show repeatedly, what do you want your legacy to be, Caroline?
Well, I often ask myself that question, because for me, my legacy is not about, leaving my name and whatever. It's about making a difference. Touching lives. It's about planting seeds. And I tell my kids this all the time. I say, they dream to be, soccer pros and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I don't know where it's going to lead you, and whether you go to college and whether it's it. I don't care. I really don't care. I just want you to learn this, the work of the soul, the work of how to nourish your soul, how to use your brain to your advantage. So I want to teach more, younger generations, but also empower women and help men reconnect to their divine masculine. So it's kind of all of that I feel, back to, are there enough coaches? I think we all speak in a unique way. And I want to speak my unique way, hopefully to more, more places, bigger audiences, to spark something in someone. So in the morning, they're like, oh, she said that yesterday. Let me see how I could do my day better. How I can do my day differently. How I can do this routine in a different way. So my legacy would be, I don't know, to leave some words of wisdom to help awaken the souls, shaken the souls to aliveness.
Oh, I love that. That used to be part of, I keep changing the tagline to the show, and it's like, feel more alive inside. And people are like, oh, don't use that. But I love that, because it doesn't matter what our career is, what our situations are. When we feel alive inside, everything's good. even when it's bad or uncomfortable or bad things happen, or, we can frame that in different language, we can still feel alive in here. And it really helps us get through those darker, more challenging times, or at least it has for me. So I so appreciate you being here. Go ahead.
And I just want to add, my tagline has been for the longest time, super alive. So
Oh, I
you know,
missed that somehow. So super alive.
super alive. So I think, super alive through love, sex, and energy. It
That
really
feels good. That's so
yeah,
yummy.
that feels good, right?
Yeah. And don't we want to go through life feeling yummy and delicious and feeling all
Yes.
the feels instead of maybe the way some of us used to, like stressed and anxiety? And we're going to talk about anxiety because that's a popular topic, but I so appreciate you being here today. It's been an honor. Thank you. For
Likewise.
everybody watching and listening, we appreciate your time, energy, and presence. If you want more of Caroline, go to her podcast, Love, Sex, and Energy, or tune in the future because I'm sure she will be back. Have a great day. Bye-bye for now.